Hello, everyone. I'm Minister James Moss. I'm back again with continuing education. My glasses seem a little dark right now because I just came in from outdoors with my dogs. They wanted to go out for a little stretch in the backyard, so they'll probably clear up as we do the video here. All right. So we're starting a new chapter here on continuing education in the book of Luke, and it's chapter 9. So we're gonna cover the first 6 verses of chapter 9. And this one is entitled, Jesus Sends Out the 12 Apostles. Okay? And we're just going to jump into it, okay? After giving examples of Jesus' pattern of preaching about the kingdom of God and of his power through all types of miracles, Luke reported how Jesus sent out the 12 to continue this work. This begins 2 missionary trips. Luke is the only gospel writer that includes 2 trips, and the disciples probably were sent on other trips as well. Jesus gave the 12 instructions and sent them on a training mission. They would soon be the ones left to carry on Jesus' work after he was gone. All right, so let us jump in. Hey, how did that get over there? Man, what is it? It just seemed like today I'm just being bombarded with Mark. I mean, I don't even know how my Bible got turned over to Mark. The last thing we left was we were in Luke. That's weird. I get up and I change. I go to step outside with the dogs. I might have to come back into this and read this later, so I'm just going to put a bookmark there. Okay. So, that's just uncanny. Because after setting my Bible aside, I didn't turn to anything different. I marked off where my next segment is going to be, and then I got up and took the dog outside. I come back in here, and it's actually sitting in Mark chapters 14 and 15, and that's kind of awkward. Okay, all right. All right, so here we go. Jesus sends out the 12 apostles, okay, and we're going to go cover the first 6 verses. As you can tell, that's kind of got me puzzled, like, what's going on here? Maybe God's trying to tell me something. All right, here we go. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said unto them, take nothing for your journey, neither staves, nor scrip, nor neither bread, neither money, neither have two coats apiece. And whatsoever house ye enter into, there abide, and thence depart. And whosoever will not receive you when you go out of that city, shake off the very dust from your feet for a testimony against them. And they departed and went through the towns, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. All right. All right, so here we go. Verses 1 and 2. Chapter 9. Jesus had chosen 12 disciples for special training. The men had traveled with Jesus, observed him, and listened to his teaching. Now they were to take a more active part in Jesus' ministry. They themselves would go out to tell everyone about the coming of the kingdom of God. More than that, Jesus also gave them power and authority to cast out demons and to heal all diseases. That was important because these miracles backed up the message. Jesus sent out his 12 apostles and gave them this power. The message of the good news was of primary importance, but the healings showed God's great compassion and fulfilled the ancient prophecies of the Messiah's arrival. Verses 3 and 4. The disciples were to travel light. The urgency of their task required that they not spend time preparing for the trip. Besides, it was to be a short trip after which they would come back and report to Jesus. As disciples sent by God, they were to depend on him and on the people to whom they ministered to meet their needs. In addition, whatever home showed them hospitality was the home where they would stay until they left that town. The disciples were not to offend their host by moving to a home that was more comfortable or socially prominent. To remain in one home was not a burden for the homeowner because there would have only been 2 together at a time, and their stay in each community would be short. The disciples were instructed to depend on others while they went from town to town preaching the gospel. This had a good effect. One, it clearly showed that the Messiah had not come to offer wealth to his followers. And two, it forced the disciples to rely on God's power and not on their own provision. They carried no outward symbols of authority, only the inward power that Christ gave them. Three, it involved the villagers and made them more eager to hear the message. This was an excellent approach for the disciples' short-term mission. It was not intended, however, to be a permanent way of life for them. Jesus' instruction pertained only to this particular mission, so this would not be a command for missionaries today. Different times and situations will call for different measures, both then and now. Verse 5. The disciples could be sure of finding hospitality from some people, but Jesus told them to also expect places where they would not be welcomed. Jesus' instructions for such a town was that the disciples were leaving. They were to shake off its dust from their feet. Shaking off dust that had accumulated on one's sandals showed extreme contempt for an area and its people, as well as the determination not to have any further involvement with them. Pious Jews would do this after passing through Gentile cities to show their separation from Gentile practices. If the disciples shook the dust of a Jewish town from their feet, it would show their separation from the Jews who rejected their Messiah. This action also showed that the disciples were not responsible for how the people responded to their message. Verse 6. Teams of two began their circuit of the villages, perhaps going back to villages in which Jesus had already preached or going where he did not have time to go. They went with Jesus' authority and power, preaching the good news and healing the sick. All right. And so this is Luke's account of the 12 apostles being sent out on a mission. Okay. And we're not sure basically if this is the first mission or the second, because there was one mission, there were 72 that were sent out. All right. So anyway, but this is Jesus saying, okay, now you guys been hanging with me for a while. It's time for some OJT for you. All right. Hey, this is going to be a short-lived mission. Don't pack up anything. You don't need to prepare all, hey, go. You're going to go with very little. You're going to go with the bare necessities and faith that you're going to be taken care of. All right. So that does it for this one. We're going to move on to another couple of short ones. They're going to go pretty quickly, but we're moving right along. We're chugging, and we're learning. So until next time, God bless you. God keep you. Remember to always go back and reread the scriptures, listen to the commentary again, and just ask God to give you revelation. And then after the revelation, show how you can apply that to your life. All right. Until next time, God bless you. God keep you. And remember, continue to keep studying.